oyagala okumanya ebiriwo, ebyaliwo, oba ebigenda okubaawo. Program Tambula n'okumanya eggose. Tambula n'okumanya ku MRU TV ne Royal FM. Tambula n'okumanya. Tambula n'okumanya.
If we accept homosexuality as a right, as is being argued by the Association of Sodomists and sexual perverts, what moral fiber shall our society ever have to deny organized drug addicts or even those given to bestiality the rights they might claim and allege they possess under the rubrics of individual freedom and human rights?
Robert Gabriel Mugabe was born February 21st, 1924 in Katuma, a Jesuit mission station 50 miles west of the southern Rhodesian capital. His father, Gabriel Matibili, was a carpenter from Nyasaland, which is known today as Malawi. His mother, Bona, belonged to the prominent Shona ethnic group. Mugabe graduated from Katuma's St. Francis Xavier College in 1945. For the next 15 years, he taught in Rhodesia and Ghana. He pursued further education at Fort Hare University in South Africa. In Ghana, he met and married his first wife, Sally Hayfron. In 1960, Mugabe joined the pro-independence National Democratic Party, becoming its publicity secretary. In 1961, the NDP was banned and reformed as the Zimbabwe African People's Union. 2 years later, Mugabe left the union for the Zimbabwe African National Union.
Not always to predict that although you are alive this year, you will be alive next year.
The leader of Zimbabwe since its independence in 1980, Robert Mugabe, was one of the longest-serving African rulers. He trained as a teacher. He spent 11 years as a political prisoner under Ian Smith's Rhodesian government. He rose to lead the Zimbabwe African National Union movement and was one of the key negotiators in the 1979 Lancaster House Agreement, which led to the creation of a fully democratic Zimbabwe. He was elected Prime Minister and later President. He embraced conciliation with the country's white minority by sidelining his rivals through politics and force. Beginning in 2000, he encouraged the takeovers of white-owned commercial firms, leading to the economic collapse and runaway inflation.
I, Robert Gabriel Mugabe, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Zimbabwe.
As an enemy, today you have become a friend and ally, with the same national interest, loyalty, rights and duties as myself. If yesterday you hated me, today you cannot avoid the love that binds you to me and me to you.
After a disputed election in 2009, he reluctantly agreed to share some power with the rival movement for democratic change. Before his ouster, in 2017, he ruled Zimbabwe for 37 years. In 1964, the Zimbabwe African National Union was banned by Rhodesia's colonial government and Mugabe was imprisoned. A year later, Premier Ian Smith issued a unilateral declaration of independence to create the white-ruled state of Rhodesia, short-circuiting Britain's plans for majority rule and triggering international condemnation. While in prison, Mugabe taught English to his fellow prisoners and earned multiple graduate degrees by correspondence from the University of London. He was freed in 1974, and Mugabe went into exile in Zambia and Mozambique.
Having and bearing sanctions banning us from Europe, we are not Europeans. We have not asked for any inch of Europe or any square inch of that territory. So, Blair, keep your England and let me keep my Zimbabwe.
In 1977, he gained full control of ZANU's political and military fronts. He adopted Marxist and Maoist views and received arms and training from Asia and Eastern Europe. but he still maintained good relations with Western donors. A 1978 accord between Smith's government and moderate black leaders paved the way for the election of Bishop Abel Mzolewa as Prime Minister of the state known as Zimbabwe Rhodesia, but it lacked international recognition because ZANU and ZAPU had not participated. In 1979, the British brokered Lancaster House Agreement brought the major parties together to agree to majority rule while protecting the rights and property of the white minority. After winning new elections on March 4th, 1980, Mugabe worked to convince the new country's 200,000 white, including 4,500 commercial farmers, to stay. In 1982, Mugabe sent his North Korean-trained 5th Brigade to the ZAPU stronghold of Matabeleland to smash dissent. Over 5 years, 20,000 Ndebele civilians were killed as part of a campaign of alleged political genocide. While in 1987, Mugabe switched tactics, inviting ZAPU to be merged with the ruling ZANU PF and creating a de facto one-party authoritarian state with himself as the ruling president. During the 1990s, Mugabe was re-elected twice, became a widower, and remarried in 1998. He sent Zimbabwean troops to intervene in the Democratic Republic of Congo civil war, a move many viewed as a grab for the country's diamonds and valuable minerals.
Plus, the people of Zimbabwe have now acquired full sovereign right to determine their future. And so it doesn't reject the principle of compensation. And this is to try and get Britain to recognize that it has a colonial responsibility in regard to the issue of land which remained unsettled even after the Lancaster House Conference.
In 2000, Mugabe organized a referendum on a new Zimbabwean constitution that would expand the powers of the presidency and allow the government to seize white-owned land. Groups opposed to the constitution formed the Movement for Democratic Change, which successfully campaigned for a no vote in the referendum. That same year, groups of individuals calling themselves war veterans, though many were not old enough to have been part of Zimbabwe's independence struggle, began invading white-owned farms. Violence caused many of Zimbabwe's whites to flee the country. Zimbabwe's commercial farming collapsed, triggering years of hyperinflation and food shortages that created a nation of impoverished billionaires. Later years and death of Robert Mugabe. After the 2008 election, which was a sponsored violence by ZANU, Mugabe was pressured by his regional allies to form an inclusive government with the MDC leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, as vice president. Even while implementing the accord, Mugabe kept up the pressure, subjecting MDC parliamentarians to arrest, imprisonment, and torture. In 1917, he resigned after lawmakers began impeachment proceedings against him. His successor was Emmerson Mnangagwa, a long-time ally. On September 6, 2019, he died at the age of 95. Keep tuning, MRU TV. Kabuye Paul SSEKISAWO is my name.
Early this morning in Singapore, of the founder of our nation and iconic leader of our struggle for national liberation, Comrade Robert Mugabe, leaves a big void in our nation.